Mr. Toastmaster, I'd like you to imagine you're opening your email. And there's a note in it from a friend. And the subject line is empty, or it doesn't make any sense. But you open the note because you want to hear from this person. And what's inside is a link to a website you've never heard of. What do you do? Good choice. Don't click that link. But what do you do to help your friend? Do you have any idea what's happened to that friend?
Yeah, they've been hacked. So you send, the way I do it anyway,
Okay.
I send them a message alerting them that their box has been hacked. And maybe one of the solutions might be to change the password.
Very good. Of course, if their mail's been hacked, they may not have access to their mail.
Right. Okay.
So you may want to get in touch with them out of band.
Okay.
Now, have any of you ever been notified by your friends that you've been sending out mail like that? Did you do anything wrong? Did you go anywhere in particular that put you in danger? Probably not. My friend who sent me email and sent email to our entire Toastmasters club last week hadn't been to the Ukraine, but that's where her mail came from. It came that way courtesy of Yahoo, because in fact her password had been cracked. She was lucky, she was able to change it fairly easily. I was able to get in touch with her through Words with Friends and let her know that she'd been had. But it made me think, what can I do to help people avoid getting in that situation? You probably know the rules of password safety. Don't use your name. Don't use a pattern on the keyboard. Don't repeat passwords. Don't use the name of your pet. Don't use the name of your spouse. Don't put the name of the month in it. There's a joke memo out on the internet that circulated in IBM a few years ago, giving all these rules and ending with, there's only one password that meets these rules. See your supervisor to get it. It's not quite that bad in reality, but it's close, because one of those rules really, really is critical. Don't use the same password on two different sites. Do you know why? They crack one, they get them all. Exactly. If you do security, I have a feeling, or at least you're at PayPal, so you're aware of it. If someone cracks your password, which can happen, they have a username and a password, and they may try it in a lot of places. Now let's talk about how they can crack that password. There are some websites, some hosts, that are, well, the only word I can use is stupid. They store your passwords in plain text. So if someone at that place walks away with the password file, or bad guys crack that site, they have name-password pairs. Those circulate in the underground networks and are tried. Because if you use the same password at many sites, perhaps you use it at your bank. Perhaps you use it on your mail. Any way they can get money from you, or attention to other people, or crack other people is good. And it really doesn't cost them anything to try it once they have a successful name-password pair. If you go to a website and they have a link saying, click here to have your password sent back to you, run like hell, because they are storing it in plain text. Some sites do a slightly better job. They do what's called a hash of the password. LinkedIn does that. Unfortunately, LinkedIn did it in a way that made this function trivial to break when their password file walked away. And so if you had a LinkedIn account a few months ago, you were advised to change your password. And if you used your LinkedIn password somewhere else, it was really a good idea to change it everywhere. Some sites do an even better job. There are ways of making passwords harder and harder to crack. The problem is that when the bad guys get a password file, they can do wholesale attacks on it. And once they have one password and one user ID, they'll try it other places. So you can't afford to use the same password user ID pair anywhere. Even on those cruddy sites that really don't matter, like the Mercury News. What do? I use a program called 1Password. I really only have to know one password. It's a strong password, it never leaves my machine. I have 1Password generate unique passwords, long, ugly, unmemorable passwords for every website that I use. It stores them. When I want to actually use a password, I go to the site in my browser and I press Command / and it fills in the password for me. I never have to see the password. I never have to know the password. I was hoping to have a projector and show you an example that I can show you afterwards, if anyone's interested, how easy it is. I have the same password program on my Mac and on my iPhone and on my iPad, and it shares them through Dropbox. It's an encrypted password. It's an encrypted password safe, so I can get to it from anywhere. It's available for Windows. It's available for Android as a reader. It's even available from any web browser. You can't change your passwords through the web browser, but you can access them and cut and paste them. So if somebody has a keyboard logger on that public computer in the hotel lobby, you don't ever put your password in even through those keystrokes. I found it's really changed the way I do business on the internet. It makes it easy for me to be safe. It makes it easy for me to not worry. It makes it easy for me to follow the rules of password hygiene. And if those bad guys do get into a site and they do crack the password, and it's much harder to crack a password filled with uppercase, lowercase numbers, and funny punctuation than it is to crack one that says fealty or some other dictionary word, even if you change the E to a 3. The damage is limited. I can tell you more about it later. Let me just tell you where to get it. Agilebits.com, AGILEBITS.com. It costs $50 for a one-user license on one system, $70 for a family license, $8 for the iOS version. The Android version, since it's a reader, is free. I find it really, really makes a difference in my willingness to go out and use sites on the web because I know I'm safe. I hope you'll go do something similar. If you don't buy 1Password for some reason, at least have different passwords because you can't afford for your identity to be at risk. Mr. Toastmaster. Very good.